Good morning, Dr. Silberman. How's the knee?
Did you just have a brain fart?
I know Taekwondo.
Stop eating my sesame cake!
You're killing me, Smalls.
Fuck with me, and we'll see who shits on the sidewalk.
Come quietly, or there will be trouble.
Clearly, I wasn't talking to you, big titties. You cherub-looking motherfucker.
While you were still learning how to spell your name, I was being trained to conquer galaxies.
The real question is, what are those?
All right, gentlemen, this is the first in hopefully a series of episodes that I have playfully and innocently named Trailer Trash.
I knew you were going to say that. I knew it. I knew it was you, Dylan. I knew it was you.
Basically,
poignantly too.
Yeah. Basically, us taking a look at some trailers for upcoming films in 2020.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And just trying to give our general opinions and prognostications on maybe what we think the film is going to be. But more so than anything else is how effective do we think the trailers are in terms of making us and the other audience members wanting to, to put their butts in seats and plunk down their $15 to see the film, because as we were talking before we started recording, a lot of these trailers, if you watch them back to back to back to back to back, they all feel exactly the same.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yes.
So apparently, editing trailers is a cottage industry.
Oh yeah, for sure.
In the multi-millions for whoever gets the opportunity to do it. So
definitely.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we can do like a pass it or trash it kind of a thing where, do we think this trailer was effective? Do we think it was not effective? If it was effective, you pass it. If it was not effective, you trash it.
Okay.
But of course, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I mean, and what about if we think the movie's going to be successful or not? We can include that in the conversation too, of course, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
all the digressions are plenty. So.
Oh, good.
For sure. So
let's
start with let's play. Let's start with the odious Bad Boys for Life.
Oh, we ain't going nowhere. We ain't going nowhere. Yeah, you got that right.
This is the third movie in the, I guess it's a franchise for Will Smith and Martin Lawrence playing Mike Lowry and what's the other character's name?
Marcus. I forget his last name, but I think it's Marcus.
Yeah.
Now wasn't Marcus married to Regina King in the?
Not Regina King.
Okay. Teresa Randall.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
And I noticed that they were absent. That she was absent. Like any of his family was absent in this particular trailer. Like he's almost living by himself.
Seems like that's what it is, right?
Yeah.
Well, she's listed in the credits as part of the cast.
Oh,
so
okay.
So maybe there's some kind of an issue going on, or maybe they just didn't put her in, to kind of show, Marcus is still a family man or whatever. But what were y'all's general thoughts on the Bad Boys for Life trailer?
The formula hasn't changed. It hasn't changed, man. I mean,
Nope.
You got Will as the smooth
Playboy,
always know what to do, playboy cop,
right.
and Martin as the as the comedic relief. It's Abbott and Costello. It's the formula. Martin and Lewis. It's not gonna change.
Right.
My only thing about this was just like, and we gonna get into this more in the conversation, but it's like every movie now has that way over the top action. Like, you come to expect that from Bad Boys. I rolled my eyes in Bad Boys 2 when they went to Guantanamo Bay. I was like, that just seemed like they tacked that on. And some of this in this trailer seemed like, okay, how many action scenes can we tack on? Okay, none of this makes sense, but we just gonna do it anyway. I mean, you got them riding in a motorcycle sidecar? What the? Who even rides in a sidecar anymore? Like a Cloud or like the Shriners, you know what I'm saying?
Under the age of 80.
Exactly. So I'm just like, man, but you know what though? It's gonna do its job. It's gonna have a very, very decent opening weekend. I guarantee you.
Sure.
You know, because for whatever reason, a new Bad Boys movie brings the people out. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And to me, I think it's going to be the end of the franchise. You know, that's the way they're making it sound like. Like, okay, these guys are getting kind of up in age to be still doing that, those movies. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So yeah, I think it's going to be pretty decent as far as the opening weekend. Myself, I'm like, that's a TNT movie for me. I'll wait till it hits TNT.
No, seriously, I feel the same way, man. And to your point, man, it's almost like this is a Murtaugh and Riggs movie that shouldn't happen, yo. You know what I'm saying? This is a not so lethal weapon right here, yo. You know what I mean? You know, don't get me wrong. I like both Martin and Will respectively in terms of their trajectory, their careers. I appreciate both what they've done as far as comedians and rappers turn actor. I think actually Will Smith's actually a pretty credible actor in some of the things that he does. He eats up the scenes. He eats up the scenes and he performs. You know, decently and well. I think I like him as a person. He's funny. He's a go-getter. As far as Bad Boys for Life goes, you know, I mean, it's a cap on the trilogy ideal that Hollywood puts forth all the time. That makes sense to me. I get it. Why not do 3? Why not show them, you know, then and now? You know, I never really wondered about the characters, what they were doing. I felt as though the first 2.
Neither did we.
You know, like, you know, there's some movies lend themselves to more of okay, what happened to them now? Where are they now? Type thing. That's the thing about James Bond, which we'll get into a little bit later. James Bond always has an open-ended question at the very end of his movies. Like, what happens next with James Bond is always an interesting thing. What escapades are going to get into next? What's his Bond beauty going to look like? You know, what is the overall? Who's the new villain that's going to take over the world, trying to get into, you know, his world and do damage? You know, that's the success of that. That to me, that's good writing. That's what it takes to be an interesting topical, you know, storyline. And that's not what this is. This is fan service. This is for the people that have been talking about it for years. This is Martin trying to make money. This is Will saying, okay, Martin, let's get together and make some money together. And that's what this is. And it'll serve a certain sector of society that's interested in seeing this sort of thing. Because I know if S is back together, it's going to be like S on the other podcast. But, you know, I think that, you know, it'll be interesting. And like what Adrian said, a first day thing, not so much. Maybe I'll see it in the $5. Maybe I'll see it on TNT. You know?
Man, what about you, Swizz? What you thought?
Well, a couple things. I think it's. I was never a fan of these movies. I never liked them. I never found them interesting or entertaining. I mean, certainly, you know, jokes and, you know, little scenes here and there that you catch your eye, but it was just too on the nose for what it was trying to be. You know, it was like, okay, like all the things you all described, and you know, the fact that I was like, who requested a third one of these? But to Dee's point, you know, Will Smith was on LeBron James's show, The Shop.
Okay, yeah.
It's like you all know that show.
Yeah.
Okay, it's like a round table kind of a thing, shot in a barber shop. It's basically like unfiltered conversations from all of these black celebrities, in some cases white celebrities, whatever. You know, they kind of, you know, mix it up. Anyway, Will and Martin were on there recently, and Will said that of all the films he's done, that this is the one that people come up to him and say, "Hey, when are you going to do another one? When are you going to do another one?"
Sure.
It's not Men in Black. It's not, I Am Legend. Not anything else. It's just, when are you going to do another one of these?
Right.
And it's so funny to me when you see the trailer where they actually make reference to, if you remember from the first Men in Black, Will was the one who was talking to Tommy Lee Jones as the older, kind of jaded head and saying, "Hey, don't call me son, don't call me
don't
Tiger,
call me Slick,
don't reference me as the little young buck or whatever." And he's doing exactly that in this, referencing the younger squad members as a boy band.
Right.
So it's just funny how things turn. But I will never see this, even if it's on. I will. It will never be seen.
So that's a trash it for you, huh?
That's a trash it for me. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's move on to the oft talked about and highly anticipated Birds of Prey. Starring Rosie Perez as Renee Montoya.
I saw that. Yeah.
And of course, Ewan McGregor's in it. Mary Elizabeth Winstead is in it. I believe Jussie Smollett's sister, Journey Smollett, is in it.
Yeah.
Playing a character as well. And then of course,
Margot Robbie?
Margot Robbie is as Harley Quinzel.
Right.
On the nose, but go ahead.
Right.
What'd you guys think of it? Because I thought it felt just like the Suicide Squad trailer. It was like dark with the gothic, thing in the background and
just very schizophrenic. You can almost make the correlation that it's trying to be DC's Deadpool, that kind of mile a minute type of dark humor, just action, humor, and like I said, it's just so schizophrenic that you're like, what is going on here? Like, I did not see Suicide Squad. So as far as
you're
that,
good. You're straight.
as far
it's on TNT, yo. So.
Exactly, it's a TNT movie.
It's on TNT.
But as far as like that corner of the universe of those DCU movies, that's totally unknown to me. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, But there are a lot of movies that kind of feel like that now. That is so schizophrenic. You don't know where it's going, and you almost want. It's almost like it's inviting the audience to pick out their favorite sections of the movie to get into. We got something for everybody. You know what I'm saying? If you like laughs over here, we got that. If you like girl power, we got that. We got explosions, we got da-da-da-da-da-da-da. It's just like, as a whole, what is it?
It's a subgenre. It's a whole Me Too subgenre. It could be argued, I guess, to some degree. I don't know. That's kind of like what they're kind of going for. It's like, this is her thing with, I don't need Mr. J anymore. It's all about me and my girls. And power to the people. That's great. I get that. But for me and mine, I mean, I find nothing appealing about this movie. I like the idea of Rosie Perez being in it. That sounds great. But I'm sorry, Margot Robbie is not funny to me. I mean,
she's a good actor, but I don't think she's funny. At least she's not showing me.
Right.
I
mean, in Suicide Squad, arguably she was interesting. The way the trailer was shot for that was dynamic. When she's bird in a cage, she's upside down and she's twisted, whatever. She's done a whole balletic thing. That was brilliant. That was a really strange way of showing, her disconnection from reality and society, who she is as a person, But this whole, I'm gonna kick Mr. J's ass. This is girl power. Wonder Twins power activated. Thing that's going on. I'm just like, okay, do we really need this movie? And why is this interesting to me? Because to me, the idea of Birds of Prey from the comic, you guys tell me, but from Birds of Prey in the comic and the original CW television series was the children of the superpowered children, their offspring. So it was like the Huntress and several other, female superheroes that were, now coming into their own. But this is just like, okay, play on words. This is Birds of Prey. This is Harley Quinzel's version of the Birds of Prey. And because she was such a standout and and Suicide Squad. You know, we feel as though that she'll be good in her own flick by herself. I'm just not buying into it. So trash it.
Yeah, I think it's Margot Robbie was probably the best thing about Suicide Squad. Like the most convincing character brought to life, and her performance was good. And then she's gotten lots of accolades since Wolf of Wall Street, and then playing Tanya Harding, and doing other things. So she's really kind of, her star's on the rise as an actor.
Gotcha.
So I think that's one of the reasons why they wanted to do this. Two, you know, DC has not really done well as far as feature films are concerned. So I think they were like, okay, well, hey, let's try to go another direction.
Okay.
But I don't get any, to Adrian's point earlier, I don't get any of the real humor that is Deadpool from this at all. I get that it's a super R-rated thing, which is what Deadpool is. But Deadpool is an absurdist R-rated comedy. As a matter of fact, the default position for Deadpool is R-rated comedy, and then it actually has to come down from that into action, come down from that into, you know, his relationship with his character. I forgot his deceased wife's or girlfriend's character, his name. Like, you have to come down from the humor into these other things to give the movie levels. It's always running as absurdist R-rated comedy, almost all the time. So I don't think if I get the R-ratedness of it being comparable to Deadpool, but definitely not the humor for me. They definitely could have done better than that. Before we move on I forgot to mention too, Bad Boys is coming out January 17th. So probably by the time this episode airs, Bad Boys will be in theaters. And Birds of Prey is set for release in February, February 7th, next month. So it's coming down the line.
Cool.
So, but as far as the trailer's concerned, I'm gonna trash it. I don't think it was super effective to do anything other than say, hey, this is coming. See it if you want to see it. Don't if you don't want to.
Right.
Whatever. But okay, so Bloodshot, set for release March 13th, starring Vin Diesel and Guy Pearce. Gentlemen, based on the comic book, was that a
Valiant Comics?
Yeah. Valiant. I was gonna say Valiant. Yeah, Valiant comic.
Yeah.
From the 90s. I think Don Perlin was one of the creators.
And Bob Layton. So Bob Layton's got two adaptations that went into feature films between Iron Man and or the characters and stories that he contributed.
Sure.
What are y'all's thoughts on Vin Diesel as Bloodshot?
Or Vin Diesel as Vin Diesel.
Vin shot.
Yeah, like it's just like, before we started recording, I made the analogy that Vin Diesel is kind of like Arnold Schwarzenegger back in Schwarzenegger's heyday, with the movies that we all know and love.
Right.
With
less
Arnold
quotables.
is
With
Arnold.
less quotables. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So when you see a Vin Diesel, it's Vin Diesel.
Right.
He's not going to change it up. That's what you go get. But to see him as, the Bloodshot character, I guess it makes sense because just by his charisma and who he is and his build, you buy into it. You know what I'm saying? And plus, I remember the actual comic book, and I'm like, okay, they got the nanites going and they explained the issues with his blood and everything. I was like, okay, that's great. That's cool. The only thing I wish they would have did was put that big red circle on his chest.
Yes!
But that would have been like just two on the nose, I guess. And it's almost like they're angling this to not be as much a comic booky type adaptation as much as this cyber tech thriller. You know what I'm saying?
My thing is this, okay? If you do a damn comic book character, do a damn comic book character. Bring all the little small things to make that character valid into play. Don't play games with it, man. Don't give me like little short, give me little short sides of ham when I want the whole ham, yo. You know what I'm saying? and I'm not a ham person. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But it's just one of those things where, for me and my money, give me Guy Pearce as Bloodshot, and I say Guy Pearce.
Yes, I don't know about that. I can't ride with that.
Let me tell you why.
Can't ride with you, partner.
Let me tell you why. No, in Iron Man 3, Guy Pearce played this character as an extremist guy, and he was really good he's really good as a villain. And he had the muscular build for it, and some people at the time were saying he actually called himself the Mandarin. He was the guy behind the Mandarin. I mean, the Mandarin work,
right?
In that series. So, but he has a physical build for it. He has a facial structure that looks like Bloodshot to me, you know. So I don't feel Vin Diesel. I like Vin Diesel. I like him in Chronicles of Riddick. I'm not really a fan of the Fast and Furious films. That's great. I liked him in Triple X. You know, as Triple X. He was good as that.
Xander Cage.
and he's okay. He's okay as Groot. I wish they could give something Groot more to say, but you know, it's a payday for him, so whatever. So you know, actors aside, trailer is okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm just expecting more from the Bloodshot character to be more super heroic. And even though I know that Valiant Strength and Acclaim, I guess it was Acclaim before it was Valiant, right?
No. Acclaim bought out Valiant in '95.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So Valiant Strength as a comic book series, or as comic book makers, was that they mixed a lot of actual science fiction and fantasy into their comics. So that was their vein. So I can see why they would head towards that type of representation for their characters. But I mean, I'm just like, you know, is there room for more players on the field in comic book movie land? Yeah, I suppose. Is this the way they want to make their entry into it? I'm not so sure if it's a valid entry point. You know,
what do you mean?
Well, they have so many things that they could have used as the characters and Valiant that would be interesting to make an entry point into the movie landscape. I would have chose.
Well, I mean, let me interrupt you. Keep in mind that this is something that Vin Diesel has been trying to get into production for a while.
Oh, really? So he likes the character. Well, then to his point, then that's good for him. Yeah. I mean, I respect his. Yeah. I respect him actually liking what he's doing. This is not being just a money grab type situation for him. Yeah. But I would have rather seen him as Exo Man of War. Personally, to me, that's a more interesting character to develop than friggin' Bloodshot. From that perspective, I mean, that's just my perspective, you know.
Yeah, so. Yeah. I think it was something that where he optioned it. He's had it for a while, and And to Adrian's original point is he was trying to find something that he could put his thing on,
right,
and make it work. You know, he could put his particular vibe on and bring it to life.
Right.
You know, it's like you said. You know, I mean, kudos for him for trying to finding something that he connected with and really trying to and wanting to make it work. I don't think you have to bring all of the comic book stuff to it because part of its appeal is the fact that it can be adapted to film pretty easily, based on the other elements to it. But I suspect the whole the red circle on his chest thing, that's probably going to happen. It's probably going to happen later. It's probably going to be a reveal later on in the film.
Sure.
Because it's not like it's that hard to do, or that it that it requires a whole lot. So
right.
Mm-hmm.
So moving on to New Mutants.
Wait a minute. So trash it or?
It actually might be a maybe for me. You know what I'm saying?
You might go see Adrian?
Not in the theater, but later on.
No.
That's one of those when I flip it through on TNT. Oh yeah, that did come out. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm not spitting it in my hard-earned.
Oh, boy. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Smith.
That's okay. That's all right. But New Mutants, which has been, I think the first trailer teaser we saw came out maybe well over a year ago.
Yeah, it's been 2 years in the making, sir. It's been made for 2 years.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they've had trailers and release dates, and then new release dates and new release dates.
Yeah.
So they finally got a hard release date for April 3rd for the film to come out, and it's a cast. The cast is all from other, not all of them, but there's several cast members in this that are from other
franchises. It was successful.
Geek-centric shows. Yeah. Maisie Williams is in it. one of the kids from Stranger Things is in.
Okay.
And it's definitely a straight up. If you look at the poster for it, it's straight up a horror movie.
Yeah, that's what jumped out to me. Like, this is almost like, I know it's not meant to be a throwback, but it could be a throwback to like those, 80s and early 90s teen horror movies. You know what I'm saying? Like a group of teens goes into this, situation that builds and builds in terror, and then this outcome comes out. Like, aside from seeing the Marvel logo, them mentioning the word mutants, and if you're smart into like, the X universe, you see like Ileana Magic with the haircut or whatnot. Exactly.
Right.
If you didn't know anything about that, you would just assume like, okay, this is just like a teen horror movie, which is fine. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I think the way they're marketing it is actually pretty cool. You know what I'm saying? Don't bring up no X-Men, no nothing. Just let it stand kind of on its own merit. Now, in the movie, they'll obviously slip those elements in, but not overt enough to be like, oh, well, this is what I'm expecting. I'm expecting to walk in here and see Cannonball and, Sunspot and all this and da-da-da-da. And then when you get in there and don't see it, like, oh, man, come on, man. God, this is bullshit. You know what I'm saying?
Well, also too, and I'm not sure who owns the license and who's producing this. I should have done more homework, but like they don't want to mention the X-Men. You don't want to mention Xavier School. Where's James McAvoy? Where's Patrick Stewart?
Right.
Well, no,
you don't. Go ahead.
Let me hear what you're saying. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, I would think that they would not want to bring any of that baggage to this. And especially as a trailer, like Adrian was saying, you would want people to see it and just be like, okay, if you're into this kind of film, then, this is for you.
Right.
And maybe have that kind of overlap appeal that Blade had, where if you like horror movies, here you go. If you like movies with 20-year-olds in it, here you go. If you like movies with superhero elements in it, here you go.
Right.
That kind of thing.
I think the co-signing now and the fact it's been brought to Marvel proper means there's going to be some nice little caveats in there, or nice little cameos that we may see later on. Like at the very end credits, there'll be several end credit scenes which will bring it all together and into the Marvel universe. I highly suspect, as far as prognostication goes, that this will at some point affect and lead into Doctor Strange's Multiverse of Madness movie, or blend in there. I can't see it not doing that, based on where it is with the Demon Bear. I do suspect that it will be interesting as far as how they bring mutants into the Marvel proper now, since it's all owned by Disney, which is a wonderful thing. Kind of, sort of, that at least under one umbrella allows them to be able to say what they are versus this whole, metahuman gene, or what have they been calling it for the time being, because they couldn't mention
miracles.
Miracles, yes.
Or worse, they try to supplement Inhumans for that. So it's like, okay, that was something they had to do for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which to me, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was really, really good for a long period of time. And I'm glad now that it seems like it's going. I'm really digressing, but I'm glad it's going towards Agents of S.W.O.R.D. now, which is where the next iteration of it's going to be. So it's going to be kind of cool. Anyway, the trailer was successful for me. It was successful a long time ago too, before it got acquired. Before it got acquired, And I was glad to see Sienkiewicz like embrace it, and kind of like say, this is what I visualize what he's. Are they able to capture what he was trying to do with his visuals in the comics, which is very rare, and without them trashing it and overdoing it, like your boy for Watchmen, for Snyder.
Okay.
He kind of did it. He did it screenshot by screenshot, and it was like, okay, which was great. I think what killed it for me, not to digress too much back into the past, which this is trailer trash. The trailer for The Watchmen was stellar. It was stellar. The fact they used Smashing Pumpkins song in it, I had high hopes for this movie, dude, as far as like it being of its time, but being kind of unique in a way, like the whole syncopation of the movie and of the trailer with the song, it was beautiful, man. You know what I mean? Like his hair sticking up on his arm when he was inside of the chamber, and the drum beat, the the Send a Heartbeat too, A Voice Inside of You, and the Pale Princess from a Palace Crack, and she falls down into the rubble. Shit was beautiful, man. That should have been the movie instead of this homage to everything Alan Moore wrote and the boring ass songs from the '60s. Some were great, another's time, but that whole times they are a change, and oh fuck. First of all, he can't sing to save his ass. His harmonies were horrible. But, I mean, as a musician, lyrically he was great, but it was just boring, yo. It was boring. It was a boring-ass movie.
But, the segue off of that back into the New Mutants, you were talking about songs.
Right.
You know what, man?
That Pink Floyd, yo?
Every time there's kids in school, we don't need no education. Even like if it's light strings of it, like you can't do the whole thing because you want to pay Pink Floyd.
Right.
People just do it very light, very just.
Well, there's a thing now with movie trailers to take a song and to do this kind of a dreary, kind of a funeral dirge version of the song. Yep. That way, A, you don't have to pay Pink Floyd. B, you can license somebody cheaper than Pink Floyd to use it.
Right.
Yeah.
To get it done and then incorporate it into the film to give it another element. But I just think it's just and maybe we'll get to this when we start talking about Top Gun, but it's just the whole it's just okay boomer shit, yo.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, we got to use all this music from the 60s and the 70s, and it's like, bruh.
Right.
And if I see another movie with a young character in their 20s who just happens to like music that's from the 60s and 70s, and it's like, okay, boomer, stop trying to shove your shitty music taste into the mouths and minds of a 20-year-old character.
Right.
Who would not be into it? But.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Now, but I'm sorry, I like the uses of The Wall Part 2.
Right.
And I like. Pay Pink, yo. Pay Pink. Pay my boys, yo.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay, boomer.
They deserve it. All right? They deserve it, yo. Roger Waters alone, man. Roger Waters and Dave Gilmour alone, man. Those dudes are they're not geniuses, yo. They're borderline geniuses in terms of their lyrical abilities and their musical strengths and versatility. So I'm with those guys getting their money. And it works for the movie too, because it's obviously they're in the school, and they're the question is what kind of education they're getting at this point. Are they trapped? As a haunted trap. Here's the thing. Even visually, they have the creatures that are falling out of the walls onto the floors on all fours. They have that Pink Floyd baby mask, with the eye and the mouth. That has that kind of appeal to it. So I think it's kind of a nice pull, in that regard. Not just placating the boomers.
Okay. I guess, hey.
But to your point, though, you're right. We're getting this one of the things that are like, okay, this is garbage.
Well, let's since we're talking about boomers.
Okay.
Let's jump over to Top Gun Maverick.
Oh my God!
First, you got the bell drop.
Man, bruh.
But check it. So,
can I go ahead?
Hold on. Top Gun Maverick is set for release June 26th.
Yeah.
And it we didn't mention this, but not unlike Bad Boys for Life, it is still a Simpson Bruckheimer film.
That's right.
Lightning strike. But I'm just like, man, in preparation for this conversation, just in full disclosure, we looked over a series of trailers, we found on the site.
Right.
And when I got to Top Gun, we weren't even going to talk about this. But when I got to that, it hit me in so many wrong ways. I was just like, we've got to bring this up because this is the epitome of this whole remake, bring them back one last time thing that Hollywood has embraced for like the past, 20 years or so.
Okay.
Especially recently. And the trailer opens up with Maverick, Tom Cruise, flying this fighter jet just maybe 100 feet above the Mojave Desert or something. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, and as he's flying it dangerously, the commander is reading over, he's over 40. He's broken down. He can't even get promoted. Just all these reasons, all these qualifiers for why is this old ass dude still trying to fly like he's 25 and you're trying to qualify it. And so then they cut to the aircraft carrier, strains of Top Gun 1, you know, and you see this grizzled commander now played by Ed Harris, and he's a Simpson Bruckheimer regular.
Yes, he
and
is.
Yes, and he's looking at Maverick like, so, Captain, what do you want to do?
You should have ammo by now, you know?
And they just shoot to this. It's Tom Cruise, but it's like, yeah, really? What is your old ass still doing here? Retire. What the hell? What? And so then the rest of the trailer is just like, oh yeah, I gotta go back to the garage and put my leather jacket on. Oh yeah, I gotta ride the motorcycle. Oh yeah, I gotta ride and keep pace with the fighter jet.
No,
oh yeah.
Adrian, don't forget. Oh yeah, and I gotta play volleyball with my shirt off.
There you go. I'm just like, oh yeah, and Val Kilmer's back. Oh yeah, and I'm flying again. It's like, stop it. The note I made, stop it. Stop it, Tom. Stop it. That's the only note I made for this. It's like, gosh, okay. It's like, that's the epitome of why, one of the reasons I don't go to the movies as often anymore is like, I don't want to see remakes all the time. Like, it's just ridiculous.
Well,
it's ridiculous.
To the credit, though, it's not a remake. It's an extension. So it's you know.
But it has so many elements of the first one to make you familiar with.
Well, of course, yeah.
It's a remake for this new generation, and given the current state of the country, it's gonna be a lot of people out there talking about, "Fuck yeah, fuck yeah."
Right. This is
exactly.
There's some tropes there for sure.
So, to many of Adrian's points, as far as the cast is concerned, Tom Cruise is of course back as Pete Mitchell, aka Maverick.
Yes.
Miles Teller plays the son of Goose.
Right, of course.
Oh my God, yeah.
Jennifer Connelly is cast as his love interest.
Okay.
So they actually gave him an age-appropriate love interest in this, which is something they typically don't do.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, for Tom Cruise, John Hamm is in it. Ed Harris is back, as Adrian mentioned. Val Kilmer is back. And
Iceman.
Yes, and
cool.
Jay Ellis from Issa Rae's Insecure is in it too, and he plays a character. So here are the nicknames. The nicknames has always gotten me because they're just so testosterone driven and ridiculous.
Right. What
so
is
we got
it?
Maverick, Iceman, the son of Goose. We got Hangman. We got a Phoenix.
Yeah.
Fritz, a character called Payback, and then another character called Fanboy.
Wow.
Oh my God. And you know, Fanboy is like 20-something, and he's going to be the one that gets killed on a mission, and Matthew is going to be like, this was for you, Fanboy. This is for Fanboy. Shooting missiles. I'm like, get out of here. And so, hold on. So the son of Goose, his call sign is the son of Goose?
Wow.
No, I don't know what his call sign is.
Okay, I was about to say.
Okay. I was like,
written on his helmet, son of Goose.
Right? It's like,
the
nobody's
hell
writing
outta
that shit
here.
out there, right? It's
Exactly.
like, okay,
Fuck out of here.
It's got to be one word, son. One word. Not
Exactly.
Not, you know, who's got time to say that when you're going down? It's the son
of Goose going down. Son of Goose.
Son of a bitch. Son of a gun.
Son of a big gun. You guys gonna say son of a bitch, didn't you?
Right. Yeah, man.
Oh, Porky Pig shit. Go ahead.
He just called himself Sog, yo. Son of Goose, yo. Call sign Sog. What's this gonna miss though, man? Honestly, what's gonna miss to me? It's gonna miss Michael Ironside, yo. Michael Ironside has that gravelly voice, yo, that has that, you know, that we're going into a mission with a Viper. You may not return. You know, that kind of thing, yo.
Yes,
that's my man, yo. That's my man. Him and James Earl Jones have that, and Clancy Brown have that gravitas, yo. That you just can't. Undeniable, sir.
So as far as for me, man, it's a trashing on that Top Gun Maverick, yo.
Same,
I don't know, man. You know what? I'm gonna be the odd man out here. I'm gonna say, okay, cool. I'm gonna go with that. Just because, I'm pass it for old time's sake, yo. I mean, I
All right, Freddie Jackson.
Right? Wow. There's a reach.
Oh man, yeah, yo.
I ain't rocking nothing tonight, yo. But yeah, it's funny, yo. That's funny.
Oh, goddamn Freddie.
Right?
That was for you, Swizz.
Oh man.
Y'all are not right. Leave Freddie alone, man. Leave Freddie alone. Free Freddie.
Man, go
Woo,
ahead.
woo, woo. That's different guy. But good.
Moving it on to and keeping it in the baby boomer category, we got No Time to Die, latest in the James Bond franchise, set for release March 12th. No, March 2nd. Excuse me, March 2nd. Daniel Craig, they backed the money truck up one more time and got Daniel Craig to play James Bond again.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Wright is back as the character he played in, I think, the last two films.
Felix.
Felix, yeah.
And then we've got Lashana Lynch in it as well, from who we might remember as, was it Monica Rambeau from Captain Marvel?
Is that what it is? Okay.
I think so. Okay.
Yeah, I think her daughter's Maria, but she played Monica Rambeau, if I'm not mistaken, in Captain Marvel. She's an agent in this, and she's a Brit too, so she was using an American accent in Captain Marvel. Rami Malek plays the villain. So
now that was a selling point for me, man.
That was for me too.
I like Rami Malek a lot, man.
See, my sales point was there's a lady in it that is in the latest Hideo Kojima Death Stranding.
The game.
The game, yeah. She plays one of the main characters too, the love interest that Bond has initially. I think her name was Maria Sadu. Is her name? I think, or
something like that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, but she's interesting to me. She's got a really interesting face, and I'm wondering how she actually plays into the whole Bond legacy in terms of the characters that's going on here. So, yeah, it looks interesting, dude. I mean, it's got hints of them flushing the old slowly but surely, kind of ushering out the old with the new. You know, it's got a black 00. Not saying there haven't been black 00s before, but she's a black female 00 on top of that, and she's kind of chiding Bond a little bit, saying, stay out of my way. You know, your ways are effective, but I have more effective ways. I have age on you in terms of youth, and I can do things that you can't do anymore based on that. But he's like, you could tell there's some kind of obvious friction based on those two characters and from the trailer, and that's good. We can kind of lead into characters a little bit in trailers without being too overly examined, overly into the character play. Bond, of course, first and foremost, is about the action. And he still pulls it off after all these years, dude. Like, one of the things I like about Tom Cruise, the aforementioned Tom Cruise, and his Ethan Hunt. Mission Impossible, yeah. I like the fact that he always upped the ante to the point where he hurts himself in some of those. But he always upped the ante in terms of what's possible visually to accomplish. And that's what this does too. The whole thing, the whole throwback in the trailer, wherein, he's in the Aston Martin, and
the Gatling guns come out.
Yeah, they're corralling him, and they're like, okay, we got you where we want you, Agent 007, they're shooting up and everything. He's okay, is that all you got? Okay, let me show you how this really works. Yeah, and let me show you what really goes on. And he opens up with his own salvos from the car, and there's a spin around, in the center of whatever square that is, and just eliminates all of them. Classic Bond, beauty. So,
it's funny how they'll every 20 years kind of update Bond, and they'll use whatever is topical to update him. Like, all right, remember back in '95 when GoldenEye came out and Pierce Brosnan took over, right? Judi Dench then was chiding him like, well, you're a relic of the Cold War, Bond. These are new times and we need a new type of agent for these type of missions now, that type of thing.
Right.
And then now you see with this current movie, it's kind of the same thing. You see the more inclusion of people of color, not just a black 007, black 00 agent, but also in the cast too. It's just like, it's really cool to see that change being implemented into these films, because traditionally they had not always been. And I'm speaking as recently as before the previous Daniel Craig movies, like before Casino Royale. You know, before that, they didn't have a lot of people of color and things like that. So it's just good to see that element start to make its way in. And I think it makes for a more inclusive, but also well-rounded movie. Like, it's just cool to see, you know, more of that. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I was just going to say, I think part of it, too, is if this franchise is going to live on, you know, you can't be making movies in the 2000s that look like the 70s and the 80s and the 60s in terms of the look. It's just not the world that we live in, you know. So someone who's watching Casino Royale or Skyfall or Spectre 10, 15 years from now, you'll want these movies to look of their day.
Right.
And to feel of their day in terms of the things that they're discussing and et cetera. And frankly, as long as you keep casting, you know, actors who are well over 40 or 40 and plus to play Bond, I mean, you're always going to have this. You're too old. You know, your ways are old. You know, you're always going to have this. But kind of the nature of Bond is that he has to be a bit wizened. He has to have seen some stuff and been through some stuff. He has to be working smarter and harder to accomplish his mission, as opposed to just having, you know, the physicality and the gadgetry to get him through. He's got to be able to think his way out. And I think that kind of is antithetical to somebody who's too young. It's like, okay, well, a 20-year-old, unless he or she is a genius, they're just not going to be able to think their way out of the situation in the same way.
Right.
At least that's probably what, you know, some of the thinking is, you know, for the Broccoli family, the one who controls the you know, the Bond estate. So
I agree. Yeah.
I think I would definitely pass this one along.
Yeah, certainly.
I think it's pretty interesting and would be worth seeing. I don't know if I'll see it in the theater, but I definitely will, you know, seek it out. You know, when I have an opportunity to, you know, to catch it at the house.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, by some means. So, moving on. The Black Widow trailer, which is a prequel to the last 4 or 5 films that Scarlett Johansson has been in.
It had to be.
Yeah, I mean, she died in Endgame, so.
Oh, dang! I forgot. That's right.
Unless.
Right. But
yeah, every comic, unless.
Black Widow is set for release May 1st, and it stars Scarlett Johansson again as Natasha Romanoff, a.k.a. the Black Widow. They cast David Harbour as Red Guardian, and Rachel Weisz is in it, and another young actor, last name is Pugh. I think she plays Natasha's sister. But this is basically like Bond. It's like action, spy, espionage. But it'll probably be maybe 10 or 15% of the movie that actually hints back to, you know, the Natasha that we know from, you know, the Marvel films. But it seems like it's trying to tell its own story of, you know, spy shenanigans, etc., and all of that. The trailer didn't make me interested to see the movie, but I will see it simply because, you know, I'm a fan of the Marvel films, and even though I still don't think that Scarlett Johansson is the best choice or was the best choice as far as known actors to play Black Widow in the Marvel films, I think she has made the character work in her way, in the same way that I've said that you know, Hugh Jackman, you know, in all of his 6'3", 6'4" glory, you know, has at least made Wolverine work on film.
Yeah.
But he wouldn't be my first choice, and she wouldn't either. But what do you guys think of the trailer, y'all? What's your gut reactions?
I'm with it. But go ahead, Adrian. Go first.
No, you good, D. Go ahead.
You know, I'm a Marvel completist, dude. I mean, I've been sucked into the vortex, and I will see everything that they put out based on, I'm looking for insights into the universe. I'm looking to see the universe, like, actualized in video format now. You know, there's so much going on that's interesting and engaging as far as storylines go. And I don't want to miss anything that's going to allow me to see the full picture that's being painted by the films. So I'll see this based on that. Whether or not this is interesting to me, in terms of Natasha Romanoff's backstory, are I am interested in the fact that the Red Guardians we brought into it, because to me that brings more interesting characters in from the USSR into it. I like to see the Soviet Guard be brought into it. That'd be interesting to me. I like the
What
Russian.
about the Crimson Dynamo, yo? What happened?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Crimson
Yeah,
Dynamo?
you got the Soviet super soldier.
Exactly,
Yeah.
Soviet super soldiers. I like to see them brought into it. I like to see the
Crimson
whole
Dynamo.
Yeah, Crimson Dynamo. I like to see Ursa the Bear. I like to see Dark Star. I like to see her brother with the sickles and the hammer. So that'd be cool to bring them into it at some point. Let's see. Marvel's thing now to me is to bring the universe into full being, and that means go around the world and see who's there to be had, not just be stuck in Avengers universe. You know what I mean?
So D, let me ask you this, and then I want to get Adrian's take. But as it relates to that, what do you guys think about the fact that we've had 10 years of Kevin Feige building an MCU, and I say Kevin Feige, but certainly him and all of his collaborators.
Sure.
But do you think at some point where it becomes a bit cumbersome to try to continue this in film format, and you see where, if you start scheduling these things out too far, it puts pressure on the filmmakers to do certain things and to have certain things be done to a schedule as opposed to my film is done when my film is done. So I had an exchange online with my friend Vin, and we were just talking about, like with Black Panther, because it had a schedule to meet, that it had to be out before Infinity War and then before Endgame. I wonder if Ryan Coogler had to kind of rush to get the film done, because I didn't really care for a lot of the CGI in Black Panther. And I wonder if that was because he had to meet a schedule and have Black Panther in theaters by the time Infinity War came out, so that they could include Black Panther and Okoye and the Darmalaji and and everybody in with that film. So I just wonder if it becomes a bit clumsy and to try to continue this, and that's one. And then two, I wonder if with this particular film, at first I was like, okay, what are the stakes if we know that Natasha doesn't die in this film? If she doesn't actually have any real, we know she's not going to suffer any true, life-threatening harm. Right. And then obviously what you do is you build these characters around her that she cares about and that you ultimately are supposed to care about, and then you put them in peril. Right. So that's where the stakes are set for this film. And actually, it puts it in a position where if a life is lost, or if there is, permanent damage done in this film, you see how it brings her to be the character that she becomes when we finally do catch up with her in Iron Man 2, and then eventually in Avengers, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, but anyway, what do you guys think?
I mean, for me, I think a couple things. In terms of production schedules, that's a whole other beast. You're looking at many different parts moving, like you said. I think the effects budget. I think the effects department is different from as long as the script is locked in, and this is what's going to happen. As far as what Coogler says, the effects people can go ahead and go based on. They start with animatic. Start with what our boy Warren Drummond does. And then they go to animatics and so on and so forth, and start trying to build everything based on that. So, I mean, the effects can be done without Ryan's, everyday finger on it. You know what I mean?
No. I mean, he's the director, so I mean,
he has to have the final okay.
Yeah, he does.
Plus,
he does. But
she's gonna shoot for 3 or 4 months, and then he's gonna spend a year in post production making it look right. So my point is, if he says, "Hey, I actually need 14 months, 16 months," you don't have that. You have to have this done by this in order to have Black Panther be in theaters by this in order for it to be out before this is my point.
Okay, so is it rushed based on the overall needs of the franchise versus what?
Right. In other words, like with New Mutants, for me, I'm kind of ready for Marvel to fully embrace, even though they're never going to do it because that's just not how movies are made today. Start fully embracing, hey, if we only do one, let's do one well. Let's do one right. In other words, if New Mutants is just one film with this particular spin on it as a horror film, and it fucking kicks ass, then that's it. In other words, come into it with the mindset of it can be one and done, but if it's successful, yeah, we'll do some more. But if it's not, it can be one and done. So in other words, it's just like in comics where, in comics, they would have these major crossovers, and then there'd be some characters who were just telling their own stories over here on the sidelines, and their comics didn't fall into Secret War, really.
Right.
Didn't fall into Crisis on Infinite Earths, really. Didn't fall into Flashpoint, really. It was, they stayed, at their own pace. Some things have to not tie in.
Right.
In order for, and that still didn't mean that, if Defenders didn't tie into Secret War, that the Defenders wasn't part of the Marvel Comics universe. It was still a part of the universe, but it just didn't tie into this event. Everything doesn't have to tie into the event, is my point.
I agree. 100%. That makes sense to me.
Well, I don't know. What do you think, Adrian?
Well, when I first started the trailer, I was like, this looked good. It was reminiscent of to me, of Captain America: The Winter Soldier, which is probably my favorite Marvel movie because it was so unlike a superhero movie, but it had a superhero in it.
Right.
I appreciate more of the espionage and spy elements and things like that. And so that's why I was thinking that this was going to go, obviously with Black Widow.
Right.
And then Red Guardian pops up. And I'm like, okay, all right, okay. I get it. It's Soviet, all right, and we're talking about a shared universe here. Okay, no worries, no problem. And I was like, all right, I'll let them forego that. But the thing that kind of got me, and the thing that I mentioned either off mic or just before we started recording was, I'm kind of just getting fatigued with how cool and smooth the action is in some of these movies, and a lot of these movies. The thing that made me like roll my eyes is a part near the end of the trailer for Black Widow where like the scaffolding or this machinery is breaking apart. So she jumps off and it's like free just skydiving with no parachute off of the scaffolding. And who comes up behind her? 3 dudes with no parachutes and full paramilitary gear, shoot machine guns, also flying down towards her. Huh? What? I understand, movies, it used to be comic books and it used to be certain movies, but now movies are the only place where you can see that type of stuff. And it's getting tougher to suspend your disbelief. It really is. Yeah. Even as spectacular as some of these set pieces are, you're just like, okay, how much cooler can this get? Like, dang, it's almost like this really great cake, but it's cake. It's not meant to be filling. It's not meant to satiate your appetite. It's just cake with this great thick sugary frosting on it. And once you eat it, that was a good piece of cake. And you forgot that you ate cake an hour later. That's what
it reminds me of, Adrian. It's like when you're on social media and you see those posts where it's like, like when we were kids, we would take our McDonald's double cheeseburger and we put French fries on it.
There you go.
And we'd be like, oh man, that was awesome. Okay, and then you see, okay, well, now we got like a double stack, a triple burger being made in some restaurant across the nation. Okay, now we got a burger and it's got 2 pieces of meat and pizza on it. And then, now the bun is made out of donuts. Okay, and now it's like, okay, and then we put mozzarella and American cheese on. Okay, whoa. Okay, now it just doesn't stop.
Right.
It's not, exactly.
Right. And to your point, what does all this stuff lead to? Obesity,
bloatedness,
diabetes, cholesterol. So it's a bunch of unnecessary bullshit.
Exactly, and you can easily make the correlation to the movie industry these days. It does feel bloated, full of these type of movies, the same type of movies, and there is no cessation to it. It's not gonna stop. You know what I'm saying? People, the general public, or at least Hollywood thinks the general public, this is what they want. This is what they want. And just so many of these movies just feel the same. And I felt like with Black Widow, and I could totally be wrong. Like I could go see it and say, damn, that was actually pretty good. Maybe even comparable to Winter Soldier. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. just those elements right there was like,
Right.
I'm gonna tell you guys this, man. I
Yeah.
recently rewatched Winter Soldier,
Right.
and then recently rewatched Avengers.
The first one.
The first one's still fucking good, yo. Still
Yeah.
fucking solid. Still holds it down. Still like, you know, all the things that they were nailing, you know, they absolutely nailed it. And I think maybe Winter Soldier might be the first in the Marvel films where they started experimenting with, okay, this is a superhero movie as spy espionage film. You know, where they said, okay, we're gonna do a subgenre within the genre. You know, as far as superheroes being, you know, its own genre. Okay, superhero hyphen espionage. You know, and then, you know, you see Deadpool, superhero hyphen absurdist R-rated comedy. You see Ant-Man, superhero / heist film. You know, and so on and so forth. Horror movie now we see with New Mutants. You know, and then other examples where they're kind of branching out a bit. You know, that I do like that. I think, and I just going back and watching those movies, they still hold up. They still work.
Oh yeah,
Work really well, really effectively. So.
Yeah, man.
Yes, sir.
Last on our list is going to be Wonder Woman 84. Set for release June 5th, right in the middle of summer.
Yeah.
Gal Gadot is back as Diana, a.k.a. Wonder Woman. And we've got Kristen Wiig, who's going to play Cheetah. And we have Pedro Pascal, a.k.a. The Mandalorian. He's set to play Maxwell Lord. And then Chris Pine somehow comes back to life as Steve Trevor. And this one, Patty Jenkins is actually back as directing this one as well. So, what did you guys think of the trailer? Dee's giving it the thumbs down, or some aspect of it the thumbs down. So,
well, Dee, before you say that, can I say something?
Oh, say it.
All right. In full disclosure, I did not see the first Wonder Woman, and I need to go back and rectify that.
Yes, you did,
because,
sir.
Yeah, I really do, because this trailer, believe it or not, I actually thought this was pretty good. I was like, wow, it kind of surprised me. You know, it was just like, wow, she has really come into her own as the character. Like, okay, she seems more comfortable with being Wonder Woman, and just the visuals and everything look really good. It's like, that's Wonder Woman. The tone of that movie is what the rest of the DC movies should feel like. None of this dark shit. None of this, this underhanded humor. It's DC. You have like the world's greatest superheroes.
Well,
it should strike this. Wow. Okay, well let me finish it out, bro. I am Jay, but
sorry.
It's all good, man. But that's what the rest of the DC movies seem like they should feel like. Like, I got out of this trailer a sense of, wow, you got the superheroics, you got the small character moments, and you had the character actually have that self-realization of sorts of like, you know, I can do this type of thing. I'm trying to actually help the world, you know, and there seems to be like, I don't know quite what the stakes are yet as far as like what's going on. If it's Maxwell Lord, you know it's going to be some type of worldwide machinations trying to control people and shit. But you get a sense that there might be some actual stakes here. But I think what did it for me was just the fact that she's doing Wonder Woman type stuff. I know that doesn't make sense, but in a lot of these movies, it seems like the characters don't act like themselves in the DC movies.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it's good to see in one of these movies the character actually acting like what you would expect the character to act like, you know. And I think I might actually go see it in the theater, and I may actually take my daughters with me. I think that would be a good movie for them to see, a superhero movie. So we might actually do that as a family, man. Yeah. So I'm gonna give that a pass. Yeah.
What I would say though is start with the first one, show them the first one, and then show them the second one. You know?
Yeah.
Because I agree. I think that's good, man. Here's the thing. I'm with Wonder Woman. I like Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. I think she's excellent as Wonder Woman. When she comes on, that music appears. That's one of the most interesting things about any of the most recent pairings of the Super Friends with the Batman, Superman, whatever it was going on there, and the Justice League. She was most important. She was the most interesting part to me because she has that element of vigor and interest to the whole palette. This is not just a dick swinging club, It's just she's a woman that's got her own agency and power. I like that. That's powerful to me. The trailer does it for me to a degree, wherein they're playing the 80s music because 1984. Of
course, Joy Division, of
right,
course.
What is it? I thought it was Don't You
How
Want...
does it feel?
That's cool. I like that. They show the shopping mall because that was a big thing in the 80s.
Of course,
right?
Like
cool.
it hit on that chord, definitely. Yeah.
Right, that was cool. Where it loses me, and I'm sorry to say this because I love my man Pedro a lot, man. When he goes blonde, I'm like, what the fuck?
Oh.
I don't even know who that is. But...
it's like Pedro's the Mandalorian. He was also an important part of Game of Thrones, a character in Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
They got his head. Okay. They got his head squished. I just didn't feel him as Maxwell Lord. I know very little of Maxwell Lord as far as the character goes. I'm not a DC guy. But I didn't think his character was interesting from the trailer. And I'm thrown off by the fact that they seem to be playing Steve Trevor as a current character in the latest film versus being a flashback. It throws me off because freaking Steve Trevor, spoilers, died in the first Wonder Woman. Something like that.
Oh, damn. Thanks, man. Thanks, D.
Right.
Well, to your point, he dies off screen.
Okay.
Yeah, well, there you go. I guess that's the out.
So, it's
the last
like,
minute I got a parachute. Last minute I got a parachute. I jumped out and I parachuted over the ocean. And
then fell in water and was frozen solid in an ice cube and then thawed out 40 years later in 1984.
And he's Captain America.
And he's Steve Trevor, not super soldier.
Wonder Woman man.
Yeah. So no, I like the trailer. I think they need to bring a second trailer where we get more of a sense of who the big bad is and what the big bad is up to. Kristen Wiig is playing Cheetah, but we don't see any visuals of her as Cheetah. So I don't know if, I've mentioned this before, but, a lot of times in movies you have good guy, bad guy, worse guy. Or good guy, villain, worse villain. So I don't know if Cheetah is going to be the ultimate worst or if Maxwell Lord is going to be the ultimate worst. To Dee's point, as far as the comics go, my connection to Max Lord is in that Bwahaha universe.
There you go, Justice League. Yep.
That's where I know him from. Keith Giffen and
J.M. DeMatteis.
J.M. DeMatteis and who was the artist?
And Kevin
Adam
McGuire.
Hughes did some of those, and Kevin McGuire.
Kevin McGuire.
Okay.
Yeah, Pillowface.
Adam Hughes did some too, though, didn't he?
Yeah, Pillowface.
He sure did. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where I know Maxwell Lord from. So I was fine. with Pedro. I mean, anybody, could have really done it. But I'm starting to kind of have a thing for Pedro based on The Mandalorian.
Okay.
So to speak. But I think they need to release another trailer where you get some sense of what the peril is, what's truly at stake here, what the loss could be,
right.
As opposed to, hey, it's set in the 80s, and I guess they're trying to move her through the decades, so to speak.
Right.
Which the first film took place in the First World War, which was what, 90 years ago.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I mean, she's getting up there in age. But I think the thing for me, more than anything else, that keeps me connected to this is Gal Gadot. I think, what she does well is she plays the I'm royalty, but I'm just like you. She has the, all this information that she's gotten as a citizen on Paradise Island, Themyscira, but then at the same time she has that naivete in the new world. This film seems like they're kind of moving her forward from that a little bit. She's not so naive. She's seen some things.
Mm-hmm.
She's lived through some decades.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's statuesque and she's demigod-like, and she gives you that, she has a real inner glow as far as the character of Diana is concerned. Where I still have a problem is I want to see some cut muscles. You're an Amazon. You're not a runway model. I know it's 1984. I know at the time, Christy Turlington and Cindy Crawford and
Autumn
and
Finn,
and Naomi Campbell. I know all of that is all the rage. They need to make her work out. You need to look super heroic. You need to look like a warrior. You need to look like, your power and your strength is not magic, because we don't see it in her physicality at all. Just cut your arms and your legs up a little bit.
Yeah, man. So I get what you're saying, man. But my only out for that, as far as her looking physically like an Amazon, is the fact that she's like special. She's not really a flesh. She's born of sand. She's a goddess. You know what I'm saying? So she's not really that person that's like other Amazons. Yeah, they're cut up. You look at them on
the first one. Yeah, they were all like female bodybuilders and wrestlers.
Right.
It was wonderful.
But she's not. But she's not, because she's imbued with she's basically a goddess. She really is.
But she's trained just like the rest of them,
Right.
They showed her training. She should have done more.
Right. Okay.
And then you see these videos of, Gal Gadot is getting in shape for Wonder Woman. I'm like, she looked the same she looked in Fast and Furious.
Right.
And Keeping Up with the Joneses. And, fucking, Night and Day with Tom Cruise and Cameron.
She was in that?
Yeah, a small part of it.
Okay.
She was in it.
Okay.
She just looks the same. It's like, okay, put the work in. That's all I say.
Okay.
Put the work in and give me something,
I'm gonna give you that, Swizz, because you're entitled to your, to your.
But to Adrian's point, I will see it in the theaters. I probably will go with my kid, to see it and to check it out.
Okay.
And I have high hopes for for Wonder Woman 84. I hope they correct that third act.
Well,
if we get another bullshit, fight scene at the airport at night with CGI this and that, I'm gonna be like, oh man, come on.
But you know what's coming, man. You know what's coming, because you got her in this crazy nouveau armor, and it's like, okay, why is that even necessary?
I like it. She comes from a warrior race, so I don't mind it. It does not make sense.
Right,
who's she fighting to facilitate her quitting that on?
Exactly. And so again, you got to release another trailer closer to the summer, in the spring,
right?
That lets us know, okay, this is what it's gonna be,
right?
Because and to one of Adrian's points, when they first announced, or maybe when the first film came out, Adrian, I think you were the one who was saying, okay, Wonder Woman has a shit rogues gallery.
Mm-hmm.
It's like after Cheetah, who does she have? She has to start borrowing villains from other people.
Right.
Yeah.
Because she has nothing.
Right.
So even in the comics that Azzarello and Cliff Chiang did, my man Vince was pointing out that essentially what they were doing is they would play her as Hercules.
Okay.
She would just fight other demigods and other gods and all of that, and she would kind of do what he did. But she wouldn't really do what she had traditionally done in the comics, because her path in the comics is kind of all over the place.
It's sketchy,
yeah. And
tie
really,
me down.
Look, they should have done Wonder Woman 72 and had her in that white pantsuit. That polyester
See, now
pantsuit.
that would be dope, man. That's my favorite, Joe. Are you kidding me? Hell yeah, man. And she had the Asian Kung Fu master I Ching. Hell yeah. Fuck yeah. They were scary, yeah. Fuck yeah. That concludes this episode of Sidebar Forever, hosted by Dwight Clark, Swain Hunt, and Adrian Johnson. You can find us online at sidebarforever.com. gmail.com. Any emails or questions can be directed to us at sidebarforever@gmail.com. And also, subscribe to us on social media. You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram. Sidebar Forever is copyright 2020. Dwight Clark, Swain Hunt, and Adrian Johnson.